Today we're taking a look at My Friendly Neighborhood by DreadXP. You play as a maintenance man that is sent to investigate a old TV recording studio that has started broadcasting again strictly old reruns of a Sesame Street-esque kids show. Your first interaction with any of the puppets is a sock puppet who basically tasks you with collecting keys and getting to the roof to essentially switch off the antenna. As you go, you pick up candy bars, which I don't know. No, I never figured out what they do. Items to heal you, as well as various weapons like a I believe it's a wrench, a gun that shoots out basically letters. Essentially each thing of ammo you pick up kind of looks like a stack of Post-it notes, and it basically shoots one out that turns into whatever letters on display on that Post-it, essentially. It seems that something is basically, restored, revitalized the puppets, and in the process have made them kind of go angry. A little aggro, basically where anything that they see that's not another puppet, they immediately try to kill. And the good thing, though, is you don't have a limited number of lives. When you do die, it basically just takes you back to the last checkpoint, and then you're able to proceed pretty easily from there. The only problem is each of the rooms that have puppets, if you don't have tape to actually tape them up, they respawn every time you re-enter the room, and they also change locations within the room, so it's much more difficult to prepare for where they're at because they have other set locations that they'll appear in, and so that does make that part a little bit more difficult. The whole thing, it feels very much like kind of like the same world type thing as like Five Nights at Freddy's. I feel like there's some sort of like occult thing going on here that is essentially reanimating all the puppets and making them go on a killing spree. And it's kind of up to you to placate the spirits, so to speak. Now, I haven't gotten far enough into the game to figure out what that is, but so far it's mostly just them causing mayhem more to themselves in the area than anything else, and then you once they see you. There's some very Resident Evil aspects, where you need like the circle key, the diamond key, tablets and stuff to open specific doors. And once you find those items, it then allows you to enter new parts of the map. Now, I did find that, kind of getting your bearings and sense of direction, it's a little difficult to kind of figure out because there's no like waypoints and things like that to kind of point you in the right direction. And so, you do spend a good amount of time wandering, trying to figure out where to go next. And, like right here, I'm not certain where I'm supposed to be entering at. And because most of the buildings don't really have much in way of like signs showing what they are. And so, I'm literally checking every building, every door, trying to figure out how to get inside. Now that building right there is actually the one I needed to go into to start it. And this is where we meet the puppet. But the world itself is definitely well thought out. I mean, it definitely gives very similar vibes to the comic book series, I believe from Dark Horse, Survival Street, which is basically, people find out that the Muppets essentially are alive from like Sesame Street and stuff, and that they're tired of being pushed around by the humans, and basically have kind of started a revolution to essentially regain their freedom. And so, this world feels very much the same. I would not be shocked if we find out that, this is somehow related to it. I doubt it because it doesn't have any of the Dark Horse logos or anything like that in the game, at least not that I've seen, but it definitely feels like that world. But the complexity of the maps isn't really that high. It's just a matter of needing certain keys to open certain doors and retracing your steps a lot of time to then check that diamond door that you saw hours ago, and then checking to see what's there that you missed. You do have a limited inventory. It's set up very much like Resident Evil in the way it's done. Now, there is an achievement for completing the game without actually opening that inventory. So, that takes a lot of planning ahead to make sure you're only picking up the items that you actually need in certain orders. I feel like the only way someone's going to get that legitimately is if they are, following some sort of guide that tells them, which items to avoid in which order, and then, progressing from there. Now, I did think that the combat itself, control-wise is pretty good. I did feel that the difficulty of the Muppets attacking, I thought that they were much stronger than they should have been this early in the game. And definitely hoping for some stronger weapons throughout. So far, I haven't gotten to any point where they are stronger. But, like I said, right there, it is giving us options to tape them up if we had tape. Now, if you do tape them up, it basically means that anytime you go into that same room, they are permanently taped and not able to actually get up again. Now, most of the characters are very easy to defeat. The one that was pounding on the door, he is one of the more difficult ones, takes a lot more hits. The guys wearing the security guard hats, those are even more difficult. So, those are going to be the ones that you want to save your tape for. And then there's a big kind of pinata big bird that's actually not far from where we're at in the story. And here's me trying to backtrack and figure out where to go next. And generally just confused as far as where I'm supposed to be going. Thought maybe there was an item or something that I missed here. But again, without any sort of waypoints or real direction of where to go next, you're going to do a lot of wandering around trying to figure it out as you go. And as you do go, rooms that you've been in before or new rooms like this one, you hear the Muppets or puppets, basically talking to themselves and doing something. And it can be a little unnerving at times. But other than the standard jump scare of them grabbing you or attacking you when you're not expecting it, the scare factor seems to be very minimal on this game. I have not reached any part of the game that I actually felt was actually scary at all. Again, other than just the sudden realization that something's there that I wasn't expecting. But overall, I did find the game to be rather enjoyable. The overall aesthetics hitting, all of the nostalgia points, the hopes visually that I was looking for. Growing up, big fan of Muppet Babies and the Muppets, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, all of those Jim Henson projects. And so going into this, I had a lot of high hopes, that I'd be facing enemies that would fit that, enjoyed the comics, Survival Street. And so I was hoping that, it kind of delved into that kind of world. And here's that inventory I was referring to. And so, with that being the case, I had a lot of high hopes for this one. And visually, it hits all of the marks that I was hoping for. The story-wise, just currently has fallen really short of what I was hoping for. Now I'm hoping that, as time goes on, we will unlock other things, story elements, maybe find some diary or something like that, kind of similar to Resident Evil in that regard, where it explains more about what's really going on, and then actually has a much more engaging story at that point. It's just so far I have not found anything like that after playing nearly 2 hours, and so it was real lacking in the story. Now, the intro that we saw at the very beginning, I thought they did a fantastic job of setting that up and kind of getting you ready for the world, but it's just once you're there, there's not much in way of storytelling, other than just you go to this room, you go to that room, and the puppet fights you for a gun, and that's pretty much it. So I definitely hope for more story-wise that appears later, but after, again, nearly 2 hours of playing, just haven't found it yet. And so I'm expecting that I probably won't find much in that regard as it progresses. But as it is, even without that, I definitely found the game enjoyable. It just wasn't quite what I was hoping for. But that's it for this episode. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. And then I'll go ahead and turn the volume back up on the video so that way you can enjoy the gameplay and get a better feel for the environments.
Me a task, and I'll give you a craft. I like to start with pipe cleaners to give myself something to make shapes out of. I'll make triangles and squares and circles and catch them all together. Then the fun part starts. Take your closest friend and separate all of their parts into little piles. Hey! Get off of me!